It is no surprise to any one of you that Brock Purdy is one of the most polarizing players in the NFL currently because of his draft status and how well he's playing. It really has a lot of people not knowing where to quantify him or where to put him or how to talk about him, or is he good or is he not good? Is he a game manager? Is he a game changer? Right? We've heard it. We cover it. You guys know if you follow this channel because I share it with you to kind of give you the overall landscape of the Brock Purdy discourse. But what is refreshing about hearing someone talk about Brock Purdy is hearing from a teammate, hearing from a guy like Fred Warner, who wears the captain's patch on his chest and has real world experience with the player. And again, these players, I hear the sentiment all the time too. On top of that, well, what do you expect the player is going to say? Right? That's a typical like response you get from a naysayer or something like that. Well, what do you expect the player to say? Listen, man, I've heard an enormous amount of player interviews over the years. And when you can kind of sense when they're giving you a canned response and when they're giving you a genuine response. And whenever they talk about Brock Purdy, there is a genuine type of energy that comes out of these guys. And when Fred Warner talks about Brock right now, that's all you hear. You just hear it's genuine. This is what I believe. This is what I saw. This is why I have faith. It's again, a lot of people are kind of having a hard time quantify, and as a result, you get a lot of talking. So I like to share these clips with you to give you insight into how these guys really feel about Brock. So take a listen to Fred Warner talking about Brock Purdy and just kind of like, hey man, yeah, how he responded to the Ravens game, all of that, and how he knows he's the real deal. Take a listen right here.
And I want to go back to, again, that visit we made to Santa Clara where we talked to you before a morning practice. I think it was August 1st. And at that point in time, we didn't know what Brock Purdy's arm/elbow was going to be like. We didn't. I mean, there was hope, and he was making good progress, and he was returning to practice. But man, oh man, Fred, it was a big question mark. And then flash forward to Sunday afternoon in Washington, D.C., or Maryland, I should say. And you guys are hugging him up and congratulating him on the #1 single-season passing yardage in 49er history. I don't know what you can share with us or share with the listeners, the fans out there, what the Brock Purdy journey has been like from your perspective, what kind of relationship you have with him, and if you had any words with him Sunday when he broke the franchise record.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one that's really special. It's just been so cool to watch that journey. I mean, it's been – people don't realize how short a journey it's been so far. He's only in his second season. The fact that he's accomplishing these things that he's doing, the most passing yards in franchise history with all the amazing quarterbacks that have played in this franchise, and to do it in his second year is insane to me. But it's not at the same time, because I like the things that he continues to do in just the second year. Now I know exactly. You know exactly who he is at this point. You don't have to sit. Nobody has to go around and say, what's Brock Purdy going to do? What's he about? Like, he's a legit MVP candidate this year in his second season, coming off of a major elbow surgery, because he's made of the right stuff, and he obviously played a lot of football in college, and that shows in his poise and the way that he plays the position. But the humility, the ability to go out there every single day with a chip on his shoulder to get better, regardless of the outcome of the game, regardless of where we're at in the season, of where he's at in the season, that's the sign of a true competitor, the sign of a true leader for our team, the guy that we got to look to. And so he's done everything the exact right way, man. I'm super happy for him. I know the sky is the limit. He's going to continue to shatter records and do those sort of things. And he doesn't even care about those things. I know he doesn't, but he's going to do it just because of who he is and how he works. That's another guy we're obviously going to need big time, but really happy for him.
And that 4-interception game could have damaged his confidence. Instead, you see him rolling right and pointing Brandon Ayuk to that open spot for that play of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And his confidence is unwavering. That's the thing I noticed as a rookie last year. When he got called up to be the starter, I knew I didn't usually with a rookie quarterback, and as a leader of the team, you want to usually go up to him and let him know, like, hey, you don't got to do anything too big. You just kind of go out there, do your thing. but for, all season long, I saw something in him, and I was like, from a poise standpoint, and I was like, you know what, I really don't feel the need to say anything to him because I feel like he's got it, and like he showed that through and through last year, and I mean just continuing to do that this season, he's been amazing.
It's absolutely incredible, and then more to come in a couple of weeks, man. The story will continue.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man. Again, I love the tidbit that Fred Warner talks about regarding Brock Purdy, about how rookies, like, you typically kind of have to settle them down. You have to build their confidence. You kind of have to guide them along, but that's just never been the case with Brock Purdy. Brock has always knew what the assignment was. He's always known what he needs to do, and he just does it. And he has a quiet confidence about him. And they've talked about this since the very beginning, since he stepped foot in Santa Clara. This is a common theme. This is something before he was the starter, before he was, even secured a roster spot. They talked about Brock Purdy this way. So listen, I understand there's a lot of opinions right now, and Brock Purdy is the most polarizing topic in the NFL because obviously, as a fan base, we're very passionate. And if you are a believer in Brock, you believe very much so. And if you're not, that's fine. But they're very loud as well. So you get this kind of combative back and forth. And sometimes the message and the truth gets lost in the discourse. So it's always nice to kind of reset and listen to players like Fred Warner, who, listen, I don't think Fred's going to BS you. Obviously, he's not going to go out of his way to say anything negative. We understand what that is. But when he's talking about, he knew Brock had it from from a really early stage. Again, that's the intangibles that Brock brings to the table. He has elite intangibles. People want to talk about, is he elite quarterback? Is he elite this? We're still trying to figure that out. And there deserves to be time in order to label him with that specific tag as an elite quarterback. I mean, these two guys over here are elite quarterbacks, but it took them time to be able to get and garner that tag. That's kind of my process with Brock. I'm in no rush to call him an elite quarterback or anything like that, but I will talk about his traits from an evaluation standpoint. And when you look and evaluate the intangibles that he brings to the table as a quarterback, he has elite intangibles. He has elite leadership quality. He has elite poise. He has elite presence, which are arguably some of the biggest, most determining factors when it comes to success at the position. You talk about these two guys, those two guys had elite intangibles, and everyone followed suit. And when you hear Fred Warner talk, what is he saying to you? What do all these players say to you over and over and over again? That this guy, Brock Purdy, has elite intangibles, and that is, in definition, of why they continue to rally around him. Those intangibles allow him to play the way he plays, allows him to work and continue to improve and continue to get better, continue to motivate and continue to lead. And that's why this team will go to hell and back for Brock Purdy as a 24-year-old dude just turned 24. This is rare. It's rare for a first-round pick. It's rare for the number one overall pick. It's rare for Mr. Irrelevant to come in and garner this much respect this quickly of a locker room that is basically a who's who of all pro or Pro Bowlers. Again, people have a hard time projecting out, and they're like trying to figure out who he is now. Who is Brock Purdy going to be 2-3 years from now? Who is Brock Purdy going to be with more reps under his belt, with more seasons under his belt, with more experience? Can you imagine 28-year-old Brock Purdy with years of experience? Could you imagine how slow this game is going to move for him with how well he's already able to dissect it and picked it apart? I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, are you on the right side of Brock Purdy or the wrong side? It's really one of those funny kinds of conversations. Like, where were you when Brock Purdy took over? Were you on the Brock Purdy side or were you not? That's really what it's coming down to, because that's what it's becoming. It's becoming people digging their feet into the ground, still talking about training camp interceptions or whatever. It's just like, man, look what Brock is doing. It's phenomenal. And he's going to only continue to get better. And people haven't started talking about that yet. But that's what we got. So, what do you think about what Fred Warner had to say? What do you think about all of this stuff, all the conversations? But what is your faith? What do you believe about Brock Purdy? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.